Hello, and welcome to HHH, the podcast where we talk about horrible humans in history. I am your host, Angela Pearson, and again this week, we are going to have a mini episode. I know you guys are just dying to hear about Tiberius, but I promise it's going to be worth the wait. But today, I did want to make sure that you got a fun story about history. This one's not going to be as creepy. There is a bad guy in it, but they get their comeuppance and you are going to love it. So today we are going to be talking about a fake military group, I guess. I guess it's not a fake military group. A fake military base that Germany created. So during World War II, this is an epic story. You're going to love it. And next week, we will jump back in with Tiberius. I'll give you all the details. I'll even give you some photos of me by where Tiberius lives. And it's gonna be great. You guys are gonna love it. So stay tuned next week to jump back into our horrible humans in history. But let's start on our fun story of history for the day on HHH. The horrible humans in history in this story are, of course, the Nazis in Germany. Now, this story is phenomenal and I love it. So during World War II, a lot of different militaries were trying to do everything they could to distract their enemies or confuse their enemies, all kinds of stuff. So Germany had this bright idea that they were going to build a fake airfield full of aircraft, so it looked like they were building up this ginormous force, so the Allied forces would come and attack that airfield. Well, what they didn't know, well, first, let me clarify. When I say they built a fake airfield, I mean they built a fake airfield out of wood. So it took a hot minute to build it, and if you've ever built anything out of wood, it takes some time, right? It takes a little bit of time. Long enough that while they were building these fake airplanes and fake hangars and all of that kind of stuff, the British Air Force just happened to fly over and notice that they were building all of these airplanes out of wood. And the British were like, oh my goodness, they're trying to create a fake thing that we're going to get distracted by. But you know what? They didn't go and bomb it. They waited. Oh, they waited. They waited until Germany had finished building that fake airstrip, airfield, air bunkers, all of it. They waited. And so once they had finished, what the British did is so petty and so phenomenal, and I love it so much that they actually got their bombers up in the air and they flew over this fake airfield and they dropped bombs. But not just any bombs. They dropped wooden bombs on the wooden airplanes that said wood for wood. Basically telling Germany, yeah, you got caught. We found out you guys are idiots. So it's one of the most petty stories in history, and I absolutely love it because even the Germans had to laugh at that, like, oh, oopsie. I guess that didn't work. But I also love that the British used, a fuel to fly over this airfield and drop fake wooden bombs on it just to be petty. It is so phenomenal. But other times in the war, these fake tanks and fake airfields actually worked. And that actually worked really well for D-Day because the British, instead of using wood like Germany did, they learned their lesson because it was very obvious that it was fake. with the wood. So they actually did a lot of blow up tanks. They blew them up like balloons. So they had tanks and a bunch of other military stuff, and they built it up in a specific area in Britain to make it look like that is where the Allies were going to cross and invade. But they ended up not doing that, as we all know, for D-Day. And it worked because the Luftwaffe flew to this fake base to try and stop them, and it didn't work. So that is our fun story for the day. I know it's not a typical horrible human in history story, but it is fun, and I do love some pettiness, especially when it's in history. So I thought you guys would enjoy that mini episode, mini story, just to tide you over till next week when we can talk about our next horrible human in history, Tiberius, the evil emperor of Rome. So I will see you guys next week. I am so excited to jump back into this, and I'm going to make it amazing just for you guys. So we will see you next week to talk about Tiberius on Horrible Humans in History.